I am back with another wonderful conversation with a wonderful guest. We will be talking about perseverance and recovery and all of those things. So, like I said, grab your snack, grab your drink, and let's get into this conversation. Before we jump into our conversation, I need you to do those things, to hit the like, the comment, the share, all of those things, because it really helps me with the algorithm over here on YouTube and on Spotify to push out this information and these conversations to more people. So thank you in advance. Today's guest is Anne Giffin, Miss Wheelchair Oregon 2024. In today's video, you'll find out she's that and so much more. All right, Anne, I am so happy that you have joined me on today. And so I want you to kind of tell the people, if they've never met you before, who is Anne? Give us a brief introduction to who you are.
Well, my name is Anne Giffin. Most times I say I'm an alcoholic addict, but that's just for AA and recovery. But in general, I'm a beautiful child of God, I want to say. I don't know why that's coming out for the forefront, but it is. And I also just think I'm very resilient from what's happened to now. I have a lot of growth in me to be a beautiful person to other people, especially to myself now. So yeah, I think that's what I want to say.
You are a beautiful child of God. And I want to ask you a quick question. What is something that is bringing you joy right at this moment? Like something in your life that you can think, like, that makes me happy, that brings me joy?
Your smile right now.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it is bringing me so much joy to be able to just have this conversation with you. And so we're going to go ahead and jump into our questions. But I want to go ahead, and the first thing I want us to kind of go back, and I want you kind of just whatever you feel comfortable with sharing, kind of bring us back to the beginning, and then kind of share what you want to share about how you became a peer support person, how you have come into the knowledge of that you're a beautiful child of God, because reading your story, you struggle with that a lot. And so if you want to give the people kind of just a brief background of why that was a struggle, be my guest, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, let me share my journey with you. I grew up in California, and I had a family of two brothers, and of course my mother and my father. Life took a different turn for me. I was getting hurt by my brothers, and then for many, many years, and then I went to my friend and asked her if this happened in her home, and her mom called 911, and 30 years went by, basically, that after that happened, I was put on the streets mutually by me and my mother. At the age of 12, my mother overturned my brother's life sentence. And then from then on, I've been on the street since the age of 12, 13. In Oregon, from California, we moved at that time. I'm kind of jumping, I'm sorry. So we moved from California to Oregon, and that's when I went on the streets. I did a lot of drug use and trying to do the things I could to survive and maintain that lifestyle, which I didn't realize was a choice. So at the age of 40, I thought I'd come full circle in that whole reality of being so far out of my mind that I thought I was back in my childhood home, and who I was with was what was going on, and it was happening again. In all reality, it was just the fear from that childhood of my brother always saying, "I'm going to kill you if you tell on anybody, or I'm going to come get you." Those words stuck in my head for those 30 years. And so I thought I was back in that situation again, even though I had not seen my family for 25 years. So when that happened at the age of 40, well, let's jump back a little bit. At the age of 25, I was going through a divorce. I got married at the age of 19. After all that had happened, I got married. And I wanted a divorce. So then I went to my mom's house for solitude. And instead, I got how bad of a person I was, and that I should kill myself, that I should have never been born. In that reality, I tried to commit suicide on heroin, and I put it in my arm, and I laid under the bed. And while she was home, she waited 24 hours to call it in, the suicide attempt. So that time, the oxygen got cut off to my leg. Mind you, I'm 25 years old. I'm now on the floor. I'm losing my leg. Oxygen is getting cut off. The neighbor was a deputy sheriff at that time and helped me get me to the hospital. And then I came back from the hospital after losing my leg to my mom's house again, where she put me back on the street. Unwilling to deal with the reality of both my dad in a wheelchair and me in a wheelchair from his strokes and his life. But to talk about me at the age of 25, again, I'm still living up to those 30 years to get to the age of 40. I come to my mom again for solitude, and I got, no, I'm not going to help you. So she put me at Tamanka House, where another 15 years goes by. And I'm still struggling on drugs and alcohol. And then I get to the age of 40. And I think I'm in that relationship. And I wasn't. And actually, so I started hopping to Alaska from West Salem, which is about 47 miles. I had 3 rides, about half mile. That was it. I made it to the Rose Garden exits at the age of 40, and I'm trying to hop to Alaska to get treatment. A couple stopped, and I wish I could find them. Mike and Sandra bought me an airline ticket and got me a shower at the truck stop and sent me on my way to Alaska to a treatment program called Life Changers at the age of 40. That was June 25th of 2019. And July 2nd of 2019, I came back. I spent 2 weeks there. And those 2 weeks, I learned about relationships. I learned about God. And I learned that the bed was so nice to sleep in. And I hadn't experienced that in years. And I remember those 3 things about that place the most.
I really, really feel like what really stood out to me was your journey to God, reading your testimony, and what I really loved was the protection that you received from your grandmother. Did you think your grandmother um had an inkling of what was going on, or because I know you said she was there for illness, but you didn't really know that at the
I
time?
didn't know that. I didn't know that. You're right. My grandmother moved in when I was about 7 to about the age of when I found her dad when I was 8. Basically,
Hmm.
she basically kept me in her arms every night, and I think she kind of knew because
Hmm.
when it came to my mom, she was also molested by her father and her father's friends. And my grandmother apparently told her just to keep it a secret and that it never happened. So I think when my grandmother did that, it was trying to give me that sense of maybe if I'm here long enough, I can help you from getting, read the Bible.
Right.
I mean, believe in God. And she always tried to influence that Christianity in me. And I appreciated it. She always said, like my dad, if the wind is blowing, there's something out there that's making us, there's something
Hmm.
out there that's making us be human or grow, So I really appreciated my grandma in all reality. Um, when I found her dead, she kissed me goodbye, and I was like, I knew something was wrong as a kid, but then I walked to school anyway, and then I got to school, and I was like, something's really wrong. I want to go home. They said, you can't go home until after school. And I dropped my backpack and ran all the way home. She had her legs in the air, and it was just a dramatic scene with blood and
Wow.
vomit on the wall. I was 8 years old, and I thought somebody had murdered her. And that wasn't the fact. She actually had a heart attack and then fell upside down.
Hmm.
So it was really traumatic. And the neighbors really helped with that. And then my mom came home and was like, what did my kids do now? And those words sunk in like it was everything took out of me. What do you mean? What did we do now? It's like I had murdered my grandma. And in my mind, I was like, I didn't do that, And I took off running
Right.
to my friend for solitude. And she let me
Uh-huh.
stay at her house for a week. Um, yeah. So my grandmother really tried to impress God at me at that time. And the vision of, a healthy lifestyle. But when she was gone, it just the molest and the torment was worse. What I
Right.
endured after she was gone, it was like, your protection's gone. Ha ha. I now have you trapped or whatever. Um,
Right.
but it really. it gave me a sense of love, I think, more than anything, to have my grandmother there.
Yeah. That's so beautiful that in all of that, the turmoil and what you experienced, you had at least those moments of someone caring for you. If it was your friend and the friend's mother, or if it was your grandmother, you had moments, or someone buying you a plane ticket. There was like sprinkles of God throughout your journey, and God was
Yeah.
just trying to show you that there's more to this. And so, even now, hearing your story, I think about how many people that your story has probably touched over the years as you shared it, and how many more it will touch. And it is a hard thing to recall your own torture and your own mistreatment, especially by those that are supposed to love you. And I think about your mother, and then it's like she endured things that potentially turned her cold, and then for whatever reason, she didn't protect you, and she allowed you to go through what she went through, instead of protecting you. But throughout all of those things, God was showing up in your journey. And so I really feel like that is such a beautiful thing. And that for someone else, this is probably going to be God showing up in their journey, because they're going to hear you speak about, I endured a lot of things early on in life. These are probably some of your formative years of you formulating memories. And those are the memories that you can think back on. I know you shared in your testimony about, like, you were like, I had some fun times. You spoke about like doing a puzzle and things of that nature. And so I want to know, through all of that, and we don't have to keep hashing all of that, because that is a lot. And I really commend you for where you are now. But what was that moment that you realized like something had to change? Was it the moment that you tried to commit suicide, or what was that moment?
And when I was a child, what changed was I went to my best friend and I was like, does your brother do these things? Because I'm not quite sure anymore. I mean, I just got to the point where I was pulling my hair out. Everything I had was broken in my bedroom. My mom kept 3 binders of pictures of the destruction in my home, and sadly shared it with a lot of people. The holes in the wall, to everything, every toy broken, to the beds broken, to a big burn hole in the middle of the carpet. um I finally went to my friend and said, I don't know what's going on. Help me.
Mm-hmm.
So she went to her mother and she called 911. She's an amazing, amazing woman today. And I know this journey is about me, but my best friend is actually Kelly Freeman Craig, who is the writer, the director, and the producer of the movie The Edge of 17. And 30 years went by, and she finally got a hold of me on Messenger. She said she had been searching and searching for me for 30 years. And I was like,
Wow.
wow, someone in that uh, magnitude of life and all the riches and
Mm-hmm.
the glory that she has, knowing what I've been through and the type of person that I was, wants to still be my friend and
Mm-hmm.
shows me love and unconditional love every day we talk since we've been in contact for 2 years. But my friend was the turning point of my home's existence, and the change of that reality coming to light. And I was arrested the next day at school. So I was also arrested. My brother was arrested. I got put into custody. He got put into custody. And they figured out the situation. He got put into an adult prison at the age of 14. He spent 6 months there in protective custody. I stayed at CSD Children's Service Division for about a year before we moved to Oregon. It was a rough situation, and uh, what I experienced to go through to even get protective help was a trigger in itself. Confined, so from birth all the way to age 18, enclosed in this like 20-foot wall, house after house
Oh,
of like infants to toddlers to middle school to adult, to teenagers. It was all boy, girl. And even that was still traumatic for me. And
wow.
they locked the door with the key behind me and a roommate. I'm like 12 years old. Why are you locking me in a room? You know what I mean? Why am I in trouble here? So I endured trauma from even getting locked up, because back then we didn't deal with anybody, especially this situation, very well. So I think we do a lot better when it comes to mandatory reporting and helping other people today. But back then, it just was a nightmare. We locked him up and tried to figure out what happened. You know what I mean?
It just really seems like you when everyone else was failing you around you, you still had those pieces of God showing up, but it's kind of hard to see God in those moments. And I know you spoke about being angry with him, and I think a lot of us, even with disability, like for me, when I was diagnosed, I'm born with something that I don't know I have until it onset basically shows itself. And then you have those moments like, what did I do to deserve this? And so I know you spoke about, being angry with God, but
Yeah.
I'm through it all, um, I'd like to hear how that relationship came back together from grandma saying, and then you said even when you had your kids, you would still take them to church, even though you were still struggling and
Yeah.
going through things, but you kept finding your way to go back to church.
Yeah.
So what was that? Do you feel like it was just a pull, or what was that for you?
I don't know. I love the choir at church, and I love the showing up for that. And I loved the peace that I got of being in that building, a church building. And it gave me, like, I had this sense of adulthood, like I was an adult every time I went to church, like
Hmm.
something I can't explain. I don't know. So it always drawed to my heart to be a part of a church community. Um, I know uh, I still struggle with showing up for church communities, but I do show up in my morning meditation in my Bible.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I, I, I just, there's something about being at church that says there's a spiritual warfare out there that we really
Yeah.
need to pay attention to. And if we don't give hope and love and shelter to what and, hug each other, we're going to lose sight of our vision or being nice to somebody. God exists out there.
And you know what just hit my heart is that the devil worked overtime to destroy you. He used everybody around you. And again, the ones you that you're born into this life, and these people are supposed to love you. This is mom, this is dad, this is my brother. And he used all of those people as tools to beat you down and to try to take you out. And then you turned to drugs. You turned to, I believe I read, prostitution and choosing the wrong guys and doing everything the wrong way, because he really wanted to hinder you from getting to this point, the point that you are at now. And you just wouldn't stop. You wouldn't stop bouncing back.
Yeah.
So you went through as a child, and I remember reading where you said you would scrape the back of the mirror off of
With
you had
mirror.
some,
Yep.
yeah, off of your, I think it was your closet had mirrors, and you would scrape and
Yep.
you can see through. And it's just things that I think about how the enemy, and it's like, I could use this against her. We read the scripture, it says, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And he used all of these weapons in his arsenal, but Anne is still here. And
Yeah.
I'm like, glory to God. Look at, because you're like, there was a draw, and then grandma was just a piece of the puzzle, and but there was still pieces of you that just kept feeling like, I need to be here, but the enemy was
Yeah.
buffering you and trying to push you away from that, because you are a child of God. You're chosen to, sometimes we do have to endure things, but you are going to help, and I'm sure you have helped so many people down through the years. And I really want to know, like, what were like your early days of recovery life like? You know, what was, I'm not gonna drink anymore. I'm not gonna smoke anymore. I'm not gonna shoot up anymore. I'm not gonna do these things anymore. Like, can you tell people how? Because sometimes I want to say this. I know that it's a choice, but sometimes I think people forget how the flesh is taken over when we introduce those things into our body. It's kind of like right now I'm on this kick of not drinking soda, and it's really not nothing compared to, an addiction. But in some ways, I'm like, I really want to drink a regular soda so bad. I can like taste it and feel it, and I'm struggling, and I'm having like the withdrawal from that sugar from that. But I'm sure that it's a million times with what you had to go through, a million times. And I think people really forget, and they look at people who are struggling like you did with homelessness. Oh, you just want to be homeless. You just don't want a real job, so you rather, go and be a prostitute, or you just don't want to deal with life issues, so you'll just shoot up. And it's like, it's really not the case. But I'd like to hear your perspective on that.
So my early days of recovery were, they were hard to succumb to. Like, I was sleeping on a bathroom floor in a studio apartment where I was, by the entire family, getting treated pretty poorly, demoralized in a sense, if you will. And that made me I was disgusted by who I was, where I was at. That officer asked me if I'm in the right frame of mind. Going to get help I slept in that bed for 2 weeks, and then I came back to the same situation. And I I literally had enough, and I had to figure out what enough was. So for me, I had so much fear in everything and even myself that I couldn't even sit still half the time. And I remember getting into going to drug and alcohol treatment, and they said, if NA doesn't work, try AA. Whatever it is, try something. Just try something. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll try AA. But I made it to AA, and I couldn't sit still. I had to run out. Like, I'd sit all the way in the middle of the meeting, and then next thing I know, I'm out within 5 minutes. And it took me about a year and a half to finally figure out, through groups and seeking safety at Polk Behavioral Health and learning to live classes, that what am I saying? Put the values in the right place. What do you value? Do you respect what you value? Where does fear need to be? Fear needs to be in a higher power, something out there besides myself or others. I need to learn suggestions and take them from other people. I need to figure out what it is that I want and how am I going to get it, because right now I don't like the life that I'm living. Now, how do I change that? And I put it into God a lot in the beginning, and I still do. I meditate in the morning with a journal, and do my scriptures off of whatever the 6 months I need to prioritize my life on. Say it was for respect or for whatever, faith. I would look those scriptures up out of the God Promise book, and I would read that for 6 months. But in general, I had to figure out all of those things. And then I also had to realize every time I showed up somewhere, like someone else's home or an office, I was like, wow, they take really good care of their stuff. And then I go back to the Salvation Army, and I'm like looking at all the people and all of their bags, like 4, 5, 6 bags at once. And I'm like, I don't want to carry my belongings everywhere I go anymore. This isn't how we should live. And I had to place all of that in a higher power a lot. And I had to think about the values and where I needed to be.
You, to me, are like the definition of faith without work, because people always think, well, if God loves me, then he'll just fix everything. But you knew it was going to take God, but I was going to have to do some things too. I was going to have to change the way I thought, change my thinking, change who I hung out with and the things that I did. I mean, you just knew, and you connected those two. So I am so enamored by just the story that you have, and I'm like, this is definitely a book. I don't know if you ever thought about it, but
I'm trying to write one right now, and I have a college student helping me right now. We're just sending emails back and forth to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've saved everything because COVID started. Basically, when I started my journey, I got a computer at a job, and they gave me 5 buttons to push. I didn't know how to use that computer from Adam. I didn't even know what I was doing. I knew how to turn it on, off, and I knew the 5 buttons to push so I could work a telemarketing job. So anyway, I started my journey about 5 years ago. I was at the age of 40. And so everything I did was on the computer. I had to save it for behavioral health to go back to my drug and alcohol classes and turn in homework. So I decided to learn how to save what I was doing. And then I decided, she asked me to do a daily journal entry. And I'm like, yeah. And I soared with that. And I went from some days a half a page to 6 pages. I literally wrote everything I did in my day, like the phone calls, but I kept it confidential. I kept my peer names out of it that I mentor over. I want to put all that into play with a daily journal entry with the group that I did for that day and the homework that I did that day at Chemeketa or Mid-Valley Literacy Center. I saved it all on the computer. And about 6 months ago, I finally got burnt out a little bit. And I said, you know what? I think those 5 years is enough. And I need to keep that. And I need to find someone to help me write a book. You know what I mean? I want to put all the pieces together. If it's not to be sold, at least for myself, because I want it on my coffee table. I want to be able to remember it, read it, and go through it a lot, because I came from a broken down place in my soul and of God, of where I was living to what I was doing. So, yeah, being in a higher power, you definitely need it to come out of all of this hell and sin.
I want to know about your peer support. I want to know how it played in your life, not only like you giving peer support, but what did that mean to you to receive that peer support?
Well, Polk Behavioral Health was asking me to go to AA if NA didn't work. They also said, we'd like for you to do some mental health groups. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do some mental health groups. So I took that suggestion and soared with it. And I did all of the Project Able mental health groups that they offer for free. Trauma and healing, DID or DD or something, dual diagnosis, yoga. I mean, I did it all. Art class. Anyway, so I did all those, and then they offered me a scholarship to do peer support training, and I was like, sure. And it's a 40-hour-a-week training. And then you get licensed through the state. You have a state identification number, and then every 2 years you do credit classes. But in the meantime, it showed me that my lived experience gives me like a degree in life. The degree that I really don't have, that I learned by just living, and I didn't have to go to school to get, because it was a school of hard knocks, you know? So that gave me the opportunity to share with somebody struggling. Hey, I've been in your shoes or shoe. I've been in your place at one time or another, and this is what I did. Maybe this might be some advice, who knows, but I can't should you or would you. It's just, this is what I did in order to get out of it. My journey, my heart belongs in peer support, because I feel so special having that degree in life, you know, that even though the bad things happened and I went through hell, um, I can talk to someone and encourage them, which means the world to me. And then I can go to have coffee with them somewhere, go to the Saturday market, or I can just be present for that person and be present for myself, because not only is it helping them, I'm getting something out of it, because I remember the early days, and then I can put that into place in my own perspective, and then give it to my higher power to breathe over it, and then come back again and return the phone call again.
It's just so much goodness in this conversation, and I'm just getting really full off of it, because I just really believe it's just so beautiful to see God in action and to see you speak, um and know that, yeah, you went through those things, but you did not let those things take you out. Not only did it not take you out, but you turned that pain into purpose. And what I really love too is, because my husband is a mental health therapist, had to go to school, get his master's degree. But one thing, and he spoke about this a couple weeks ago, we went somewhere and he said it again. He said the books in the classroom does not prepare for a lot of the things that you encounter. So when he came out of school, he started working for the county. And so when you're working for the county, you're encountering a lot of different people. Now he's in private practice. And so, that people technically call and say, hey, I'd like to get therapy. But when you're working for the county in crisis care, these people are in crisis. And a lot of times, sometimes it's just court ordered therapy and all of those things. But he said, I wasn't prepared for people to pull knives out on me. I was not prepared for people to be ready to commit suicide and like really be ready to do it in front of me. And then I have to talk that person down. And so, like you said, and a lot of times it's like, yeah, it's great that you went to school and you got your PhD and all of those things, but you went to school of the hard knocks and you literally can say and you can relate and say, hey, I've been down this road. I know how it feels to sleep outside. I know how it feels. Or when I read when you said that you would stay high at night to not sleep, or when you would get offered a place to stay, that you would stay up until that person fell asleep to try to secure yourself and say, okay, now I can fall asleep because they've fallen asleep. Having a PhD and kind of just going through in life, I could talk to you till you blue in the face, but because I don't have that experience, it may not resonate well. So I really like what you said about that. And then I want to talk about the mental health aspect because it still gets a big stigma even in 2025. And so I want to know, what would you say to someone who's suffering in silence, who may be struggling in addiction, and need to go and get that support, or even just saying, I may need to, maybe they're not an addict, but maybe they have trauma, or maybe they don't have, maybe they grew up fine, but I feel like, me personally, I think everybody should go to therapy because I just feel like we all have our own baggage in some way, shape, or form. What would you speak to that person and say, like, let's take the stigma off? This is why you should reach out to someone.
Well, first of all, on most of my calls, they say breathe. Let's breathe. What's going on, and what can we do about that? How can I support you in that situation, or um, what can we do for tomorrow? My main questions on any call, or any situation or subject or any person I'm with. Basically, I start off with those 4 identifying markers. I think there's 4. Anyway, but if somebody was coming to me and asking for help, I definitely would say, what is the situation? And have you thought about the differences of the situation you're in compared to what it would be like if you didn't have it, So I generally try to get people to think, because smart recovery is something about thinking and behaviors and triggers. And a lot of that has to do with thinking around the situation to get out of the situation. Does that make sense? So it's kind of, it's more of a thinking outlet, to think through your behaviors, to think through that first 15 minutes of, oh my God, I need to take a cigarette, but I'm trying to quit. So it's actually the first 15 minutes. You just got to ride that wave and get over it. So generally, if you've talked to that person for that long, the whole, the calmness is starting to come over that person, and they can really handle and see clearer what they're trying to approach or say, or what they're going through, So I definitely would say, just to breathe, and let's talk this through, because I'm here with you. I'm willing to listen and be present. I have in front of my computer desk in my room, I have a mirror behind my computer, and on the mirror it says, be present, call someone and be present and listen. And then, so I always try to do that, just call, be present, listen. If they ask me to reciprocate how I'm doing, fine. If not, generally just be there for that person.
That is something that we probably could all learn. Sometimes when you reach out to someone, or someone reaches out to you, it's not for you to fix their problems. A lot of times people just want someone to listen to them, just to listen and allow them to get off their chest whatever they need to get off. But I want to know about your dreams or your goals for expanding peer support, like support access. What does that look like to you?
Well, I said during my reign as Miss Wheelchair Oregon 2024, I said I wanted to get an 800 number, or a line for peer support, and apparently they do have one, and it's called Peer on Call peer support app. I didn't realize that, but I also don't think that it's highly advocated for, because The 988 suicide line is more advocated for than this one. So I just,
Mhm.
advocate more for peer support because I know that it's becoming a growing business right now. Like it's a hot commodity to have lived experience and go along with the counselors or the PhD, and then like work beside the sheriff or go on right along on their calls. It's very important today to have someone that's been there, and then the other person as well, the teacher or whatever you want to call that person. But it's very important to have a peer support in everybody's life. It's not just counseling; it's better than counseling. You have someone that's lived it, but also have a counselor. I'm not saying don't have a counselor. I have a counselor. I have
Yeah.
a peer support. I'm a mentor. I have people I can talk to, and I have I have a list of people to call because sometimes one time isn't enough. It's something.
Mhm.
It's not the first time that you get it right. It's probably the 12th time you might get it right. That we don't know. Recovery takes however long it's going to take, and however many tries it's going to take until that person gets it. So I have a list of at least 5 to 12 people I can call after the first one because I'm not done with it just once.
Do you guys have in your state, there was something here they were doing in Kansas where they were trying to have when there was a call and maybe it was for something like mental health, instead of dispatching the police by themselves, they would get a support person. Do you
Mhm.
guys have something similar in your state or in your
I believe
area?
we do. Yeah, I believe we do. Yeah.
That's good. I think that's necessary, and I think we'll see a lot of less deaths when it comes to people who are experiencing mental health breaks at the moment, versus, and they don't need guns in their faces or being shouted
Right.
at.
Mhm.
They need someone to kind of talk them through their feelings.
Right.
Um, I want to know for yourself how, when you pour out so much to others, how do you care for yourself to make sure you're staying full? I know you talked about your meditation and stuff like that, but is there anything else or more to that?
So, like I said, I stopped like 6 months ago. I kind of got a little burnout, but in the morning I would read at least 6 chapters in the Bible or books,
Hmm.
whatever you call it. I think it's chapters. And then I'd do a daily meditation, and then I'd go into a grateful list, at least
Hmm.
5 to 10 things I'm grateful for, 5 to 10 I ams in the mirror, and then 5 to 10 to be's. To be, to be grateful or to be uh just I don't know. The words aren't coming to me right now, but to be is like to be happy or to be to get a job or whatever. Anyway, I would
Hmm.
just do all of that in the mirror, and I would say that in the morning as every morning as much as I possibly can. Maybe 5 mornings, not every morning, weekends off. But I
Yeah.
generally do my grateful list, and that starts my day off. Another thing I do when I wake up and open my eyes is generally say, God, direct my thinking and my understanding, and help me
Hmm.
get through this day. So that begins before the meditation. And then, I go about my day with the gym now. I have a gym membership, and that self care
Cool.
is beautiful in itself, especially
Hmm.
the sauna. But anyway, so I do what I can to fill my bucket back up and give it back out again. But I started in the morning generally.
I love that. And I do when I wake up too, I always, after telling God, thank you for allowing me to see another day, I need to be given some type of strength to get through the day. I don't know what I'm going to face, whether it
Yeah.
be mental, spiritual, physical, within my body. And so that is something that I do too as well. And I think when I think about that, I was reading in what you sent me with the I am grateful and all of those things that would go so great with the book that you're going to write, because I'm speaking that over you right now. With your book, you're going to have an attached journal to
Uh,
go with that. So people are going to be able to read through the book and then have this journal to go and do the work. And so those I am grateful and to be, those are going to go great. But I want to pivot a little bit and talk about your reign as Miss Wheelchair Oregon 2024.
mhm.
And I want to know what inspired you to run for the title, and how was your experience as the title holder for 2024?
Okay. Well, I was introduced to Miss Wheelchair Oregon, or Miss Wheelchair America competition through Power On with Limb Loss. Melinda, I ran into her and she said I should try out. So in 2023, I tried out and I was really saddened, but I also understood there was a better competitor, Hannah, who won in front of me that year. She did an amazing job, and that's good. I'm happy and proud for her. And then I wanted to try it one more time. I was like, I know that despite all my friends were telling me no, that it was a costly investment that I didn't need, and it was me against my friends, and I still tried out the second year in a row. Mind you, I had to fund my way all the way there myself because my friends aren't helping. But then when I got into it, the Dragon Boat team, they really surrounded me with love and joy. Once I said I want to try out, they did a yard sale for me, and I made quite a bit of money at that yard sale from donations and the yard sale. And then, of course, I had a little bit saved up, and my mom helped a little bit. But I really just wanted to be in a room full of women in wheelchairs. That was
Mm-hmm.
my, oh my God, that was my dream. I dreamed about this summer party going to be with everybody in wheelchairs. And
Mm-hmm.
it was something that nobody in my circle would understand because I really don't. I have maybe one friend that's in a wheelchair besides the
Right.
ladies that I just met. I'm talking about before I went. I had one
Yeah.
lady that I knew in a wheelchair, and I'm all around these able-bodied, and it was like, my God, I want to go so bad because I'm both. I can be able-bodied or I can be in a chair. And
Right.
that those two worlds um needed I needed to have in my heart. I needed to feel that. I needed to feel that week.
Yeah.
That was the majority of wanting to try out for I wanted to meet so many women and be a part of their journey and have more friends. So that was my greed in that situation, and my willingness to let my friends be put aside and say, this is something I really want because of that.
Yeah.
So once they understood that about why I was doing it, they kind of helped me along the way a little bit, but majority of it was the Dragon Boat teammates helping me get the financial need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And during that reign, I was told not to wear the sash and crown as much as I am around the homeless. So I kind of felt the need not to do that. So I didn't take many photos of what I was doing. I was always representing my state, I will say that, and the country. But my peer support is every day. It's every person you come across. It doesn't
Right.
matter if they're your friend or not, or they're your counselor. We reciprocate always with love and our journey, no matter where we go, I think. And so we got to have that for everybody at all times, because peer support is everywhere and we all need it. We all should do it.
I don't think people really understand the importance of when you have the opportunity to be amongst other people who are like you. We may not have the same thing going on of why we're in wheelchairs, but
Mhm.
we're all in wheelchairs. This is it just was so necessary, and it was like a therapeutic type of
Yeah.
thing for me because like you, I'm always around able-bodied people. I'm always the only
Mm.
person, and so growing up and then like being African American, sometimes you're in spaces where you're only the only black person and only the only and then it's like I'm the only person in a wheelchair, and it can become overwhelming, and I don't think people really grasp that. So
Yeah.
to have the Miss Wheelchair competition and then kind of look outside of the whole competition. Like, yeah, this is a competition, but I'm in a room full of like it's like 20 plus, 30 plus people because not
Yeah.
just the contestants, but then you have all of the staff and support group
Yeah.
around, and we're all in wheelchairs and we all can relate in some way, shape,
Yeah.
or form. So I think it really was a good mental pick me up for me because I didn't start using my wheelchair until 2020. And it's something that is necessary to, and even the peer support, like even us as the class of 2025, we are like supporting one another through these journeys. Some of us have faced sickness, and some face death, and some have faced we've faced countless things in our group,
Right.
but we're in that group and we're supporting one another. We don't have to talk every day. We're not talking all day long, but we are checking in, and it's
Yeah.
just wonderful that
Yeah.
we have that. And hopefully it's for, a lifetime to come.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
um, I want to touch on looking back over all the things that you've overcome. What is something that you're proud of that no one sees? Like, you know, you kind of touched on some of those things, of the things that you are doing behind closed doors that no one sees. You're putting in that work to stay mentally healthy. But I could be wrong. Maybe that's not your thing. But what is something that you are proud of that no one else sees?
I guess, I give so much love, and I don't know if people see that quite, or feel that as much as I'd like them to, because I'm a very giving person. I just had my 5-year sobriety party and housed and single party April 19th. I was all those three things, and I gave 35 gifts away, and I wrote over 100 cards, thank you cards, individually written for each person that has done something for me. And I'm still giving out cards because I need to get addresses. But um, the amount of love that people have given me, I try to give back, and I try to do it whenever I can, on the daily if I could. But
Yeah,
the amount of love, I think, because I don't think they realize how much love I have for people, because I feel like that child that just uh, mm, has now felt the love that she deserves and wants to give it back.
yeah. And that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking about, like, because we don't necessarily wear our trauma on our faces, our sleeves. No one,
Yeah.
like, we don't have a billboard and rolling around like, I was molested, I was beaten, I was this, that, and the third. We don't have that. But I feel like the amount of love that you can still pour out to others, and they may not even know what you've endured, but you know what you've endured, but you've still chosen to be the person that you are. You've made those choices to say, because some people will sit in what they've dealt with, and they will say, well, I have the right to feel bitter, angry, hateful. I'm going to spew all of these things because I went through. But you are saying the total opposite. Like, yeah, I went through, but I am still going to love what the Bible tells us, to love our neighbors as ourselves. And like you said, as a little girl, this is the love that you should have been given. And now God has given you so much that you're able to give to other people.
I don't have many words on my walls at all. I have,
Mhm.
if you look behind me, it says know your worth. On
Uh-huh.
this wall, it says gather. On my front wall, as you open the door and look inside, it says yesterday is heavy, put it down. I have faith behind my front door. And then I think that's everything that I have written in my house. Um, know your worth is very important to me, um,
Mhm.
because for so many years in childhood and even growing up in my teen years, we're just ridiculed and told how much we're a bad person, or, that we're not
Mhm.
worthy of love. And today, I just think that it's a very valuable, for me to have these specific words on my wall, because every month for the last 2 years, I have a potluck. I make a pot roast for whoever wants to come, and I invite all of my friends that I know that's in recovery, or a dragon boat team, or it doesn't matter who they are, but as long as they're sober, you know, doing well people, I invite them to my home for a potluck. And generally, I have about 21 people and a dog sometimes. So it fits in my
Wow.
tiny apartment. But I want them to know their worth, to gather, to be a part of life. And I feel fulfillment every time I have that potluck. It just brings me back to, like, if I was at the Nationals all over again. It's just a big old party, and everybody's happy, and we're all doing what we should, and that's loving each other.
I love where you said yesterday is heavy, put it down. I love that, because a lot of times we just keep carrying everything over with us. and we just do not put it down. It's like I'm carrying.
Interesting.
I'm 5, and I'm carrying that with me. I love that. Are you getting ready to show it to me?
Yeah.
I love that so much,
This
and
is
I
my
love
five
that.
years. Everybody signed my 5-year picture. This is what I had for a signature, and they could write something on it for my party. I just got that.
Yeah.
This is my sash and crown. I
Oh,
had it.
cool.
I had it put in a shadow box
Uh
for.
huh.
I paid someone to do that for me,
Uh huh.
and then I'll just share my journey a little bit. There's gather, and then on this wall, I'm going to have all my friends eventually. I just started that,
Uh huh.
doing pictures and photos. Let me show you my room, and I'll start with that. And then I should have started with that in the beginning. It would have been more on top of it. My journey starts August 25th of 2019. I wheeled into the most excellent way. The lady gave me the sweater off her back,
Oh,
and I
wow.
asked for help. August 26th of 2019, the Hope Dealers picked me up where I was at in that broken down apartment, and saved me and put me in the Salvation Army. Uh, I was baptized February 9th of 2020, and that was my baptism shirt. I have decided. There's my Rahab for being quoted as Rahab in the Bible by a pastor.
Wow.
Dragon Boat Team World Beat Festival 2022 gold medal. We won first place on our team. I graduated drug and alcohol treatment. That's the party, and that's peer support training. The governor wrote me a letter thanking me for my advocacy. Let me see right there. And then I'm in the Salvation Army. The Salem Reporter twice for my life story. And that's just a little bit about my recovery.
That is wonderful. And I love how you have all of those reminders surrounding you.
I
So that
forgot
it'll
the
be hard
AA
for you.
commitments. I'm sorry, I forgot the
Yeah.
AA commitments. So this is what I've done in AA so far. Is a huge commitment going to district and whatnot. But anyways, yeah, they're huge reminders. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. Let me shout one more thing out. The lanyard for Miss Wheelchair America competition, all of our pins are hanging on
Oh,
my wall.
cool.
I have that hanging on my wall. Yeah, can you see it?
Yes, that's wonderful. That is so awesome.
I have
You
that
have
on my
moments.
wall right next to my desk.
I love the reminders, everything that you have around you, so to help you kind of stay grounded and know
Oh yeah.
like every day your life is purposeful and we need you around here. Um, we're getting ready to wrap up, but I do want to ask you, what would you say to the person listening who feels stuck or like they don't fit in this world?
Know that you're loved. Know that you're cared for. You're thought of. We don't have people unthinking about us because we're always thinking about somebody or something. Just know
Mhm.
that you're loved, because once you find that in yourself and know that for your whole heart, we all have, it gives us wisdom. To have love gives us wisdom, in my opinion. It gives us a higher
Mhm.
power as well. So those three things connect with love for me.
And I love it. Just letting them know that they're not alone, that somebody
Yeah.
loves them. Sometimes people just need to hear that somebody
Yeah.
loves them. Um, I would love for you to share how everyone can support your mission or your journey. Like, are you working on anything? I know we talked about the book, but is there anything that we can look forward to or following you on social media as you
Oh,
continue in your work?
I would love anybody willing to help me put my book together. I have everything saved into folders. I just don't know how to email these folders. I don't
Uh-huh.
know quite what I'm doing quite yet with the computer. I'm still learning. So, any
Yeah.
advice or anybody willing to put the book together, let me know. My journey is going to consist of the next 5 years getting that book together. I'm still on the lookout for a peer support job. So, here in my area. Um,
Hmm.
and I want to reconnect with my kids somehow. I don't talk much about them. They live about 3,000 miles away, and I try to keep them as adult as they want to be. And if they want to be a part of my life, then fine. My phone number's on, and they know where I live. And but
Hmm.
I talk to my son every once in a while. But know that they're loved, and hopefully they hear that now, because they just, I don't know. I want them to reciprocate it someday. So I'm going to really work towards that this next 5 years. Um, I don't know, maybe get a car eventually if I can afford it. and then be driving my own self around. But those are just simple things that I'm going to figure out. But in the long run, I'm really going to work towards this book. I have the addiction training for peer support. I have a certified recovery mentor for peer support through the state, and I'm going in for training to do the mental health aspect for peer support starting June 9th. I will do that for 40 hours, and then that'll be another continuum of credits that I need to do every 3 years on top of it. And then hopefully do a couple more trainings, because the more, like, peer support is step one through the back door. And then if you do the rest of the trainings, eventually you can be side by side with a counselor, you know?
Right.
So I'm working towards all of that. And then also the next 2 years, I'm I'm the co-chair to the Willamette Health Council. When I was in nationals, I was just a regular person showing up at the meeting on Oregon Health Plan. But now I'm actually their co-chair for 2 years, and I win a very good award at the end of it. I'm really excited. But in the meantime, I'm working towards helping my community in every way I can. And Pacific Source, our insurance company here in the state of Oregon, actually is the top of it. And then goes to Willamette Health Council, and then the Community Advisory Council, which, excuse me, I'm on both. So giving back to the community, the grants and what like Soaring Heights needs, or what Rock needs, which is Recovery Outreach Community Center. These places are staples in our community for helping people get resources or housed or a place to hang out if you're homeless. So I really appreciate the work that the Willamette Health Council is doing for our state and our Marion Polk region. So I'm grateful to be a part of that.
Look, I applaud you for everything that you're doing. And it seems like you just have a heart that wants to help, and you are continuing on. You're not allowing yourself to stop. And, sometimes people will win their crown and sash, and then once that's over, they kind of just go back to whatever. But this is your life. That was not just for that moment. This is just your life, and this is who you are. And I applaud you and commend you for all that you are doing. Despite everything you've gone through, you have decided to persevere and to shift gears and say, it's not about me. How can I help someone else, through the things that you've been through? So I thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm looking forward to your book and your books, because it's probably going to be multiple books because of the way you explained it and all that you're doing. I really applaud you for even continuing to get those credit hours, continue to work with the groups that you're working with, and co-chair and doing all of things that you're doing. It is really a blessing to God that you are here on this earth. I thank God that you have the strength that you have from him, that you have continued on, that you could have laid down and died. You could have given up. You could have done a lot of things, but you decided, if I have to hop, I'm going to hop, and you hopped. You did what you had to do to be where you are now. I really feel like that your kids will see this one day, or see what you're doing. It may not be this podcast, but they will see and be proud of you. And as a child growing up, sometimes we don't understand what our parents endured and why we were in certain situations. But I really feel like that one day, the love that you are pouring out, they're going to pour back into you. They're probably proud of you from afar. I'm sure they are. And they may have to work through things to get to the point to where they can, come to you. But just know that there's so many people around you that are so blessed by your presence. The things like that you are doing, the potluck, you're opening your home and your heart to people. You're saving lives. Like, you really are. Through Christ, you are saving lives. You're allowing God to minister to your heart, to pour out into your community. And there's so many people who could be other places, if not for you extending your home and saying, come eat with me, or extending yourself and saying, I'm just going to listen to you. What do you have to say? You are such a beautiful person, inside and out. It is an honor for me to know you. Truly is.
Thank you.
I thank God for us connecting. I thank God for you. And I am so looking forward to everything that He's going to do for you in the near future, getting your car, finishing all of the things that you're going to finish, getting your book going. God is going to open those doors for you because He did not bring you to this point and have you go through the things that you went through for you not to see your dreams come full circle because you've made it not about yourself. You've made it about pouring into others. And I feel like that God sees that. And so He will continue to bless you down through the line. And so I really thank you for opening up yourself, speaking on those things, sharing with me the things that you shared with me. This helps me so much. And I am so looking forward to our friendship growing. Like I have got to know you and like not know you from a distance. I've got to know you and know that like you're my friend and I can call like I may have to call you and bug you and be like, girl, I'm going through and just to
Yeah,
know that Anna will listen to me. If nobody else will listen to me, she
right.
will listen.
I will.
Like that is so wonderful. So we are going to finish our recording on today. And I am going to say thank you so much. And I want all of the listeners and the viewers to like and to share this story. And I am going to just follow you wherever God takes you. And I'm going to be looking for you on like TV when you're like doing your book shop and shopping it around and sharing and doing your like when they go to Barnes and Nobles and they're like doing their book signings, and then I'll roll up in my wheelchair to get my book signed.
Yes, that'd be nice.
I mean, you have such a story to share, but besides the story, you just have such a beautiful heart. Like you're
Thank you.
just a beautiful person, and I see that even in our group text. Like you'll just pop in and say, "Hey, I haven't." Commented in a while, but I just want you guys to know that I love you guys. And I
Yeah,
appreciate that. It means a lot. It really does. So,
thank you.
with that being said, thank you guys for listening to Talking It Up with Tam. I want to thank you, Anne, for our conversation. And you guys will need to like, subscribe, and all of those things so that you guys can be in for the next conversation. But until next time, I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.